Hey, honey.
Yeah, what's up?
Hey, everybody. I'm Fen, and this is Retro Reviews, a review show where we go through my copious amounts of D&D and other gaming books, one at a time, along with magazines and other products, just to talk about them real quick. And to keep me from rambling, we have Laura.
Hey, everybody. So to keep us on track, we're going to go through a list of questions.
Fire away.
So first question, what are we reviewing tonight?
Tonight, we have Dragon Magazine number 298.
Okay, where did you get this magazine?
I believe this actually starts the subscription I had. So yeah, these are all basically from here on. For a while, I subscribed for like a year or two, so I got like 12, 24 issues all in a row, and
This is the first thing.
this is the first of them.
Okay, do you want to give us a quick synopsis of the articles inside?
Okay, so this, the theme for this month's issue is the Drow, which are the Dark Elves, as seen on the cover.
These are cool armor.
Yeah. This one also came with a Drow-themed, the Cavern of Pain battle mat, which is somewhere in my collection because I never throw away maps, but might be able to pop it up on screen real quick when I'm doing the editing for this video.
Okay.
Also want to say, sorry for taking the last week off. We thought we had the buffer good, but we're back on track. Don't worry. So yeah, there's a little notes for using the map for either D&D campaign or a chainmail game. Chainmail, of course, being the pewter miniatures. They hadn't really come out with the plastic WizKids minis for D&D yet, so they had a different game for it called Chainmail at the time. There's a spider statue in the middle of the map. It has rules for using it in the D&D campaign or the miniatures game, where it's like slashing weapons would continuously cause you hit, like if you cut somebody, they'll keep bleeding more because they're near the spider statue.
So is it an actual statue?
No, it's printed onto the map. So it's like you can either use it as this and say it's like difficult terrain, hard to move over, or
It has that mystical power.
has that mystical power. It's I know in our intro some people might have spotted the 2D terrain box sets that I got. So it's kind of like that. It's just 2D terrain instead of actually having a big statue on the table. Some people like to have everything be flat, so it's easy to fold up, put in a binder or notebook, so you're not carrying around crates of terrain.
Yes, that makes sense.
The next article in the magazine is the At the Tabletop. Usually these are just announcements by the publishers, but I usually skip over these. And this one I actually want to point out because in this issue is when Paizo announced that they had taken over all the Dungeons and Dragons magazines and doing all of their publishing, which is historic because they took before then the Dragon magazine was published in-house by Wizards, so all their writing and editorial staff was Wizard staff. Paizo taking over the responsibilities, Paizo ended up hiring that whole department and moved them out of Wizards of the Coast and over to their in-house studio.
So by Wizards, you're talking about like Wizards of the Coast, the company, not like actual Wizards.
Right. The company that makes Magic the Gathering now, as well as Dungeons and Dragons, when they bought, because Wizards of the Coast bought TSR, which originally made D&D.
Presumably not real Wizards.
Right. They bought it, bought the rights to the game, and created third edition, 3.5 edition, 4th edition, 5th edition, and the one D&D that's currently out now. But because they sold that department to Paizo is the whole reason why we have the Pathfinder role-playing game. Because when Wizards was like, the CEOs were like, hey, you know, this D&D game is kind of complex and hard. Why don't we make it a lot more like WoW, World of Warcraft, and get like everybody playing this, make the game a lot simpler? And all the D&D fans were like, you ruined our game. We hate this. We're not buying the products. And of course, because Wizards of the Coast, big company, they got a 7-year plan. They can't deviate from the 7-year plan. Paizo, because Wizards of the Coast decided we don't want to do a magazine anymore. Paizo, we're done. We're going to move all of our 4th edition content onto our website so we can put it behind a paywall and make people subscribe for it. The predecessor of D&D Beyond for 5th edition. Paizo is like, we have an entire staff that's dedicated to making D&D content.
And so they started the Pathfinder.
They're like, you know what? We're going to make our own D&D, and yeah, there's nothing you guys can do about it because you got the open game license. So yeah, if this issue, if the behind the scenes parts for this issue didn't happen, we'd never have Pathfinder, and we would have had horrible D&D through 4th edition's run, and not had everybody be like, oh, Pathfinder's so much better. And I'm still in the Pathfinder camp of Pathfinder's better than D&D, but you know, 4th edition, 5th edition, the new stuff, I don't know. I like my older editions where it's like, I bought the books, I have the hard copies, we're good. Here's me your money, leave me alone, don't make me have to buy new stuff all the time. Anyways,
yeah.
Big announcement for that. This is the dawn of Paizo, the dawn of Pathfinder. The next article in the issue is Flesh for Loth. It's the secret life of the Dark Elves. It's a whole article on their culture and society. Breaks them down. Breaks down like and shows actually how, because the Drow are supposed to be the most evil of the evil races. Like, they are dark elves. They are the bad guys of D&D. Like talking about how and they're put into like their nurseries as children, and it's actually like encouraged to be like, ooh, little Timmy just killed little Jonathan. That's good for you, Timmy. You're gonna get extra porridge.
I was just looking at her hair.
Yeah.
I totally have a wig like that. I could make a drow costume.
You probably could. The females in their society have full sexual freedom. Males must be faithful or die. So female drow can just sleep with whoever she feels like, but her husband, if he cheats on her, he is dead.
So this is a very
They are a matriarchal society. Of course, they have daily ritual sacrifices and tortures, and torturing and death are considered fine arts and done in theater settings, like in their societies. Like they are straight up evil. Of course, the next article is just for being such evil. There's the punishments of Loth. So Loth is the queen of spiders. Mm-hmm. She's a half drow, half spider demoness, and as you get more powerful, as you level up as a drow, you have to pass certain tests. Mm-hmm. If you fail them, that means you don't turn more into a creature like Loth, or you do turn it. It's an interesting thing. Like sometimes, like becoming a Drider is good. Sometimes becoming a Drider is bad. That's the half drow, half spider. And there's a whole check to see if you start turning into a Drider as you level up. Little chart article. You look like you have a question.
Yeah. So some drow, as they get more advanced, turn more evil, and some turn away from being evil.
Well, the whole thing is like becoming a Drider is like becoming more like is basically becoming more like the goddess, and a very powerful drow who embodies Loth can become what's called an aspect of Loth, where it's like you embody Loth in body and can be used as a demonic conduit for doing Loth's work on Earth. It's like sainthood to them.
But like evil sainthood.
But evil sainthood. So if you end up passing the different trials as you achieve more power, if you become a more powerful fighter or a more powerful sorceress or more powerful priestess, you can have the potential to become an aspect of Loth. If you don't, it's not like you failed, but you get to keep like looking like a dark elf, but you still get to level up and have power. But there's like this, the evil power might take over and consume you and transform your body.
Okay.
Depending on what you're playing, what aspect you're going for as a player, that's either a failure or either a success or a failure. That's what I was trying to mean by it.
Interesting.
It's a very complex society.
That is complex.
Sinister Tools is an article all about drow equipment, alchemy items such as a non-magical stink paste, basically a light-activated alarm whenever it's a paste that you put on the wall, and when like a torchlight hits it, it will start reeking and smelling.
Good.
Yeah, to alert people like, oh yeah, there's a light source nearby, because drow can see in the dark because they live underground. There's a list of drow poisons and drugs, magical items such as spider mask, which give powers but can never be taken off without risking death. Lash of Torment, it's a +3 wounding spiked whip that deals damage on failed attacks. When a non-drow tries to use the whip will actually, like, if you don't hit your thing, it'll actually like come back and hit you. So it's like one of those like torturer whips they'll keep in the dungeon. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, I freed myself. I'll grab the whip and I'll try to. Oh no! You try to attack your tormentor, but the whip just wraps around and hits you. They also have non-magical silk armor, which is better at taking enchantments, so costs less. Then the next article is Curses of the Ashen Compact versus the Drow. Crusaders of the Ashen Compact versus the Drow. Details a secret society of the other creatures that live in the Underdark, such as the Mind Flayers. They're the ones that look like they're people that have like squid heads.
Oh, that was on Stranger Things.
They talked about it on Stranger Things, yeah.
Well, they showed one.
Well, they showed the upside down monster version of it, and they didn't show the actual Mind Flayer, which basically looks like a purple person that has a octopus for a head.
So it wasn't an actual Mind.
It wasn't a D&D Mind Flayer.
Oh, okay.
No. The Duergar, which are a version of underground dwarves, evil underground dwarves. The Duro, which are another short, like halfling-ish, like halfling goblin mix. And Abeloth, which are giant fish that have psychic mind powers that take over whole like villages. Like a big giant fish with mind powers that enslaves everybody around it. Anyways, those four races teamed up together to try to keep the Drow in check, and the Crusaders of the Ashen Compact are adventurers that have been giving training to specialize to go and fight the Drow, because all four of these evil races are all like, well, if we just hire surface-dwelling adventurers and send them to fight the Drow, then they can harass the Drow while we do what we want to do to take over the Underdark. Mm-hmm. So they have...
It's very sneaky.
Yeah, so there's different Drow fighting classes prestige classes they put into this article, such as a Deep Avenger, which is an anti-Drow barbarian, Gloomblade, a thief that specializes in sneaking around and fighting Drow, and a Grey Sage, which is a stealth-based wizard, another sneaky wizard going around messing up the Drow. There's also some gear that's listed in that, such as like flashbang grenades, because drow are sensitive to light, so if you use those, they'll be able to daze the drow. It's actually one of the few times I've seen like flashbang grenades, like type notes, type rules in the game. Also, sunlight weapons that actually create daylight when you pull them out of their sheath. It's just like swords just glowing with actual sunlight, which would be great about drow and vampires. When you have concentrated sunlight in a blade, just go through a vampire like a lightsaber.
That would be very convenient.
Yeah. Shades of Death, it's new feats and 2 class combos to help create necromancer characters. New feats for making the undead have more hit points, spell resistance, just basically making it so you're up. Necromancers was kind of like a underpowered version of a wizard in the edition. This was one of those side, not drow themed, but just like, hey, we got this thing to throw in here too if you're not looking to have your entire magazine taken over by drow.
Just for fun.
Yeah. Living Greyhawk Journal mostly talks about the Gen Con news, about being able to run events at Gen Con UK. And
why is it a Greyhawk? Are there hawks?
No, Greyhawk is the campaign setting created by Gary Gygax. In 3rd edition D&D, which these issues of Dragon Magazine cover, Living Greyhawk was a global, you play the adventures, and depending on how all the adventures, the Dungeon Master would report into the internet.
I think we talked about this before.
And it would change how the adventures were going.
Okay.
In the history of the world.
No actual hawks.
No actual hawks. There's also, included in that, is the Vault of the Drow, which is a new location for DMs to use in the Living Greyhawk setting. It's a drow metropolis, so there's maps and notes and notable NPCs of that.
So it's an underground evil city.
Underground evil city. And then there's exiles from the vault, which are prestige classes to use with the drow with the Vault of the Drow setting of the Drow metropolis. The Blood Sisters, Drow Rangers, Nightshades, poison using thieves, because Drow are usually Drow in the most time you come across a Drow. It's a female, because they're the most liberated and free to do whatever they want. And Drows love to use poison, so it's just like, you need those two. You need those 2 types of classes when you're running Drow. Also, the article talks about how to. Also, is showing off some of the Drow chainmail miniatures that were coming out. Next article after that is preparing to improvise. Notes to DMs on how to improvise adventures. There's a worksheet of PC player character goals to build adventure hooks and encounters around, which I think is a really nice idea, having those kind of notes of like, what's the characters in the party trying to accomplish? Where can I drop in these little pieces, make like, ooh, I got a great idea for how to work on this goal to give this adventure this week is going to be a spotlight on this character. And basically notes on like how to build your own index of source books, so you can actually create like what's called the DM's Bible, which is basically like all the stuff you use that you're like, okay, I'm allowing these rules from this book, these rules from this book, these spells, and you basically create your own campaign settings. So there's notes on how to do that. Also how to pre-generate treasures, and one of the notes I really loved in there that I really did take to heart when I first read that is always save the maps and handouts from published adventures. Never throw any of those little supplemental things out, because you never know when you're going to be like, oh, we're doing this. Oh yeah, I've got the map for that. It's right over here. Trouble at the Table is the next article. It's advice on dealing with issues of expectation gaps, favoritism, DM player characters, speciality trampling, which is basically having one character have something be their thing, but then have somebody else in the party that's like, oh, I do that same thing too, but I can do it a little bit better than you can. It's like, that's what I made my character. My character's the swashbuckler that likes to swing around. And you're doing it way better. Come on, dude. I wanted to be that character, or I wanted to be the healer, or I wanted to be the big beefy guy who takes all the hits. Or I wanted to have be the person that's like, oh, I got all the skills. Really like talking about like how to share the spotlight. You know, let everybody shine in their areas. Let everybody have a role in the party is one of the big takeaways from that. And if you do have to bring an NPC as part of the party, this is my own personal take on what they call Dungeon Master player characters, DMPCs. I have played with a lot of players that, as DMs, they'll bring their character along on the adventure because they're like, I want to have a character and have fun with you too and fight the monsters. And I've seen it a lot of times that DM character ends up outshining everybody else, steals the spotlight. I'm like, no. If you're sending along your own character as the DM, it needs to be like, I'm going to fill a slot that nobody else wants to fill. Usually, when I do it, I'll end up having to play the healer for the party and fill that role because everybody's like, no, man, I want to sneak around and stab people in the back. Oh, man, I want to roar out rage and just bash people in the face. I want to cast big, powerful spells. All right, who wants to, like, make sure we don't die? Not it. And I'm like, all right, playing a healer, put this sucker together. All right, I'm going to stand in the back. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to follow you guys around. Just be like, heal. That's a really dumb idea. You want to think about that? Then as the DM, make an intelligence check. Now, I'll play that character.
Give everyone a chance to shine.
Yeah.
And don't steal the spotlight if you're the DM.
Exactly. Sage Advice is the last article in the magazine. It's the FAQ column they have every month for frequently asked questions. This time it's covering the Masters of the Wild. A lot of this... So Masters of the Wild was a 3.0 source book for Rangers, Barbarians, and Druids. And a lot of... When they went from 3.0 to 3.5, they reprinted some of the stuff that was in that because some of it really wasn't play tested well. A lot of it got left to the side. So a lot of the Masters, those Masters series of books, they're not really used. Like when we were in Bangor, coming back after the 4th, there was 4 copies of Master of the Wild for sale in their used RPG section.
So it's not that popular.
It's not that popular. But still cool to see that the Awaken spell gives an animal plus 2d8 hit points and better base attack along with fortitude and reflex saves. The Awaken spell, it's actually kind of cool. We were talking about like my Dungeon Master player characters have always been like the healer support characters. Because I was on an adventure, I was running an adventure for my friends one time, and they came across, and one of them caught a chicken.
A chicken?
A chicken. He caught a chicken, and he was adventuring, and he was petting the chicken, going on the adventure with his pet chicken that he had captured. And he was like going to become like this. He wanted to be a barbarian ranger and be like a beast master and have like all sorts of pets. And he was going to start. The chicken was going to be his first one. And I'm like, okay, you're taking a chicken on an adventure. Of course, the adventure was one of the Dragon Magazine ones. Can't remember which one it was, but it involved having like the party gets ambushed by 2 tigers on the road. Okay, so I'm like, oh, the cats are gonna go right for that chicken, and the cats went right for the chicken.
Yeah.
But they never actually were able to hit the chicken.
Did the chicken have like mystical powers?
The dice were in the chicken's favor. Okay, the chicken, the cats could not damage this chicken. The dice rolls kept being like, no. It kept being like, I know I rolled at least one that caused one of the cats to actually slash the other cat. But They messed up.
No damage to the chicken.
No damage to the chicken. The heroes are fighting the cats, and the chicken, I rolled for it. I was like, okay, if I roll 5 or lower, the chicken is going to be like, I can't flee from this thing. I'm going to fight. And I rolled it, and the chicken chose violence, and I rolled an attack for the chicken. The tiger had 1 hit point left, and the chicken had to roll max damage in order to deal 1 hit point. The chicken killed the tiger. And I'm like, alright, you guys all, I'm like, okay, they all get experience points, the chicken gets experience points, and I was like, they're like, what, the chicken gets experience points? Yes, the chicken gets experience points, and you see a ray of golden light come down from the sky and illuminate the chicken. And the chicken goes, I say, oh, that was a horrible time. Why would you bring me out here? The chicken, I used the awaken animal spell on the chicken from the heavens, gave the chicken 1 level of healer. And I'm like, the chicken is your cleric, have fun. And that is the story of Foghorn Leghorn. There is an awakened chicken who wanders around as a cleric on my D&D world because nobody wanted to play the cleric. But they wanted to pet chicken. Yeah. But I did not know that 2d8 hit points when I actually did that. When I did that spell. I was just like, I'm just going to give it an intelligence score and a level and 1d8 hit points for having the class.
Okay. Anyways,
that's the end of the magazine.
Okay, so which of these articles are you going to be keeping?
I'm probably going to keep a good section of this because Drow, one of the campaigns I want to run, and because a lot of this is, it's not game stats wise as being something that can't be backwards compatible to 2nd edition. A lot of the stuff I want to keep out of here is the maps and the history and all that type of stuff, cultural notes. I think I want to keep this because I do want to run it's the Against the Giants and the Drow. It's a Drow themed old school 2nd edition campaign that heavily deals with the Drow. So I'm thinking maybe having this on hand. Plus, Bane of the Drow was my favorite module to run. So I think a lot of the Drow themed parts of the article is stuff I'm definitely keeping.
Okay, sounds good.
Plus,
look out for the chicken.
Yeah. Plus, we got to keep the magazine so you can get some inspiration for making a Drow costume.
It'd be really cool, right?
All right. I guess that leaves me with the question of if you were to make, or if you have made, a D&D themed costume, what's your D&D costume you'd like to make, or a D&D costume that you have? Leave those in the comments section down below. And I'm good. You good?
I'm good.
All right.
Well,
Peace.
thanks for joining us.
Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Peace.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for staying till the end of the episode. Remember to like, share, subscribe. Follow us on Facebook at Board Barista Productions. And if you want to support us, Patreon link at the bottom.